in the Israeli society.
There is a sense amongst the Israelis that they're fed up with the kind of peace process, with the kind of news that they read in the papers, the kind of things they saw on TV, that nothing was really changing. Everything's kind of the same, so why even tune in?
I accompanied Breaking the Silence on a trip the group organizes every couple of weeks to the West Bank's second largest city, Hebron, to find out what they're doing to bring the occupation back to Israeli TV sets. Yehuda Shaul, who was once deployed here as a soldier, explains to visitors and journalists alike how Palestinians have been banned from the center of the city since a Jewish settlement was created in the heart of Hebron. Because of Breaking the Silence's anti-occupation stance, Jewish settlers here often harass the tours. But Shaul continued with the tour unfazed.
Now, everything we saw today and everything we're going to see today is being justified by the Israeli authorities for security purposes.
Here in Hebron, Breaking the Silence is making the argument that the occupation is a brutal and inhumane affair that's only prolonging the conflict. But the question is the Israeli media listening? I spoke to an editor of Israel's most popular English-language daily to find out.
I mean, I monitor all the papers, all the radio stations, and all the TV stations and internet sites on a daily basis constantly. And I can tell you that Breaking the Silence, B'Tselem, Peace Now, when they come out with relevant information, they're covered widely by even the TV and radio outlets that are kind of partly owned or fully owned by the government. This is not a dictatorship. This is not North Korea. This is a free democracy with a very, very aggressive press.
But from Ramallah, the seat of the Palestinian Authority, the view on Israeli coverage was very different.
Unfortunately, these testimonies from such soldiers are being covered mainly in leftist newspapers in Israel and not in the mainstream media. But I should say that these testimonies have been publicized widely in foreign media.
Breaking the Silence made its biggest ever media splash with the release of 26 soldier testimonies a few months after the end of the war on Gaza.
We were told there are no innocents. Everyone is enemy.
But most of the attention came from publications based abroad.
In Israel, you can see the reaction to what we're doing, like the bad reaction, usually, and the criticism. He's saying that there is a feeling that Breaking the Silence are doing what they're doing out of evil. And around the world, you just see how, for example, Frankfurt Allgemein, which is one of the most important journals in Germany, are given the first front page for reporting about our testimonies from Gaza.
But members of Breaking the Silence say they've faced a bigger problem than hostility in the Israeli media. They accuse the Israeli army of launching a public relations counteroffensive challenging the group's motives by highlighting the fact that much of their funding comes from abroad.
Talking about the funding is kind of a way to shift the discussion from the main idea of it. And the main idea is what happened, is the facts on the ground, and this is what we're trying to promote.
The Israeli military has since changed tack.
The IDF doesn't care about the funding. The IDF cares about the principle behind the organization. And the principle here is taking care of the own interests of the organization, not of Israel's.
The army spokeswoman complained that the Israeli military couldn't act on allegations made in anonymous interviews to Breaking the Silence.
Instead of giving me hardcore, hard-fact details, it does the opposite. It blurs the faces. It blurs the facts. I cannot investigate anything with this information I'm receiving.
On television, the front page, and on the web, the anonymous testimonies are a controversial issue. many Israelis, including the soldier patrolling our tour of Hebron, aren't ready to break the silence on the occupation, at least not yet.
Would you give an interview to Breaking the Silence?
I am not agree with breaking the silence.
Really? Can you tell me about it?
Not now,
No? When?
when I am not being the army.
More Global Village voices now on Breaking the Silence.
There are no other NGOs in Israel that are working on the ground with Israeli army veterans, interviewing them about their experiences, recording them, and publicizing them. Were it not for the group, we wouldn't know half the serious human rights violations that occurred during Operation Cast Lead. It is the eyes and ears of Israeli democracy.
It's these kinds of actions and these kinds of groups that will save Israel from itself, because no amount of military might ultimately can withstand the moral force of a people who are seeking freedom and seeking justice. As a matter of fact, we're witnessing the spectacular truth in that statement unfold before our eyes in Egypt.
Finally, the art of public speaking is an important one for heads of state, especially in times of crisis. When President Mubarak appeared on state-run TV in an attempt to diffuse the anger of Egyptians on the streets, well, his words fell a little flat. If you missed it, don't worry. The animators at Jordan-based Karabish Studios created their own version of the speech that imagines Mubarak making a more candid concession speech. It's our web video of the week. Enjoy it, and we'll see you next time at The Listening Post.
أخلع مخلع أخلع مخلع أخلع مخلعش يخرب بيتك يا زين يا ابن علي الله يحرقك أصلح إيه ولا إيه جاتكوا القرف أما أقوم دلوقتي أخطب بالشعب جايز ربنا يهديهم أيها الشعب الكريم لقد تابعت الماتش قصد التظاهرات ولقد رعبتوني قوي ليه العنف ده؟ ما تخلونا حبايب بقى مع بعض. احنا هنصلح، هنجيب السباك والنجار ونشطب الحكومة دورين وكل حاجة هتبقى في السليم، مفيش مشكلة ان شاء الله. انا هضل دايما في خلقتكم، ولو مش عاوزيني انا عاوزكم. وفي الحقيقة انا لقيت الحل. ايه رأيكم؟
Art. Each piece as individual as we are. The guys at Toshiba tell me to look for 3 things when searching for a true masterpiece: inspiration, innovation, craftsmanship. So I know one when I see one. Trust. Toshiba.
A popular uprising that shook the country to its core. A defiant president under siege from his people. As the protesters took charge of the streets, we look back at the events that are changing Egypt.
I will stay on the air if I can until the police come
in a special program, Al Jazeera gives you a day-by-day account from those that witnessed them firsthand. Egypt burning, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Home to a diversity of rare species, Latvia's pristine woodlands are a place of magic. But with a strained economy and an eager market, forests are rapidly perishing, and with them their inhabitants. People and Power investigates how 60% of Latvia's timber ends up on UK shelves with a questionable seal of approval. Latvia's Pulp Fiction, at this time on Al Jazeera.
From local traders to international finance, it's commerce that makes the world go round. For global companies and developing markets, communication is the currency, and information is the most valuable commodity. Counting the cost at this time on Al Jazeera.
Now there's one place to discover the whole story, aljazeera.net/English.
We bring you the story from every side and every angle. aljazeera.net/English.
This is Al Jazeera.
Hello, good to have you with us for this news hour, coming to you live from Doha. I'm David Foster with extensive coverage of events in Egypt. The country's outlawed opposition party has met the vice president.